Focus on Semantic SEO and natural language processing with Koray Tuğberk GÜBÜR from Holistic SEO and Digital. Brought to you by Majestic. I'm David Bain and this is SEO in 2022. Koray, what is your number one SEO tip for 2022?
My number one tip for 2022 in the name of SEO is actually using the semantics and natural language generation. Natural language generation is a new concept, and to be honest, Alexander the Reader from Inc. actually he invented this term. It basically means that generating text with AI and natural language optimization will be the second step of it, because at the moment most of people try to use GPT-3 for natural language generation. And if everyone tries to generate more text, I believe it will increase the quality threshold for the search engine, because web will be bloated more. For instance, the content on the web mostly has been generated in the last 2 or 3 years, maybe even the 70% of the content on the web, they have been generated in the last 3 years. And for the incoming 3 years, it will be even more and more. And because of that semantics and giving a clear context and giving a clear sentence structure and completing every fact and connection between the entities based on attributes, it will be very, very much more important.
Okay. Now, semantic SEO is the process of building more meaning into the words that you use in content. So how does an SEO do that in practice? Are you suggesting that they use AI to generate more content?
I would suggest using our own brains, to be honest, first, because any kind of tool, I don't want to mention a tool name specifically at the moment, but any kind of tool can prevent you to think according to semantic SEO. Semantic SEO means SEO with meanings. And to protect the meaning or creating a contextual vector or giving a kind of contextual relevance between entities, it can be done naturally because we are also semantic creatures. And I will suggest every SEO to create proper content briefs for the authors first. And then actually they can start to perform a couple of tasks for question generation, answer matching with that question, and fact extraction. There are lots of algorithms that actually they can use, like Roberta, BERT, or there are lots of data sets like SQuAD and other types of things. And if they know a little bit coding, they can also use NLP Claude for GPT-G. And there are some other free language models for text generation. So all of them are open at the moment.
Okay, I'll mention a tool. I've tried a tool and I've heard some people say great things about it and some people say not quite so great things about it. Jarvis AI. Have you experimented with that one?
Yes, I have tried others too also.
Okay, and do you think that AI is at a stage where it can produce the type of content that users will love and think that a real human being has written it?
Yes, the answer is yes. The question is actually about when. So maybe at the moment it might not be perfect, but in near future, I believe, maybe 1 year later or 2 years later, they will be better and better. But still, I believe that there will be a human need for organizing the content, because if you don't create proper parameters in your function, if you don't use your parameters in a proper way, AI might generate irrelevant text also, because they might not know some answers as you do. And especially when it comes to reviewing a reviewable entity, sometimes it is a product, sometimes it is a kind of service. AI might be biased, so it can be biased based on language, based on data set they use, based on the human feedback. And because of this situation, I believe that there will be a need for human assistance. So I believe soon the content writers will be these assistants for the AI, and they will use AI for generating more text.
Okay. I don't know if to be excited or a little bit scared about that, or certainly on copywriter's behalf. Your second part of what you were sharing was that you believe that SEOs should be focusing on natural language processing, or at least being aware of that. So are you saying that Google is just getting better and better at understanding the context of everything that's written on a web page?
Yes, definitely. And as you know, in the last Google I/O, in the 2021, they have announced two different algorithms. One is MON. The other one was the Lambda. And they also have some other language models that they didn't announce, like Smith, and also like Kel, like Rel. And there are lots of other samples there. And at the moment, since they are able to understand human language in a very much better way, they have started to explore new contexts, the contexts that are not answered yet. That's why they also started to create a question hub that has been integrated into the Google Search Console, because there are lots of questions that are not answered yet. And the other thing is that some questions are answered in some languages and some questions are not answered for other languages. And they try to actually make all of the information accessible for all of the languages. That's why when it comes to the semantic SEO, people should focus on the concepts and the meanings, not the phrases, not the languages. If you focus on one language, you will just get that entity's one side or one feature or one profile. But search engine gathers all of the information from all of the geographies, from all of the audience, from all of the languages. If you unite all of this information, you will be able to understand a concept in a better way, and this will lead a second phase, which is the search activity. Search activity or search behavior of the web search engine users. And when you start to understand them in a better way, it means that there will be lots of different contextual layers. You can use variable portions in the questions to explore these new contexts, such as gift ideas for women in 40s, or gift ideas for women in 40s with children, or gift ideas for women in 40s with children, and these children might have some problems, or they might be girls, or they might have different types of features too. There are lots of different subtopics in every subtopics, and at the moment they start to organize all of these contextual domains within a hierarchy.
So what does this mean for keyword research then? Is that still relevant in 2022?
It is, but it's about how you use it. To be honest, for my content briefs, I don't use it. I usually use it for improving the relevance. When it comes to semantic SEO, using synonyms or using lemmatization or using different variations of a phrase is important. Let's say that we have a query and we have 2 million documents for this query. They are relevant with different levels or with different grades. Search engine actually calls this the graded relevance grade ranking. So once we have lots of millions of documents for a query, you will start to see different types of co-occurrence matrices. Based on these co-occurrence matrices, you will start to realize that there is a kind of query template, document template, and different types of query clusters. Once you are able to extract entities and concepts, you will start to realize that there is a kind of user behavior pattern which is caused by our thinking way from our neural networks. And once you extract all of these things, it will start to be about actually entities, concepts, interest areas, or search behaviors more than keywords. You can use keywords still, but try to use them for improving relevance instead of creating a content brief. If you want to create a content brief that can rank in Google search, you should use this type of connections based on entities or attributes or semantic role labeling or lexical relations. There are lots of other terms that can be used in the scope of semantics.
Understood. So if an SEO is responsible for creating this content brief that you describe for each new article on the website, how do they decide how long and what needs to be included within that piece of content to deliver the ultimate answer for whatever question is being asked?
Thank you for asking that. At the moment, actually I create a kind of course, and this is one of the popular questions that from the audience, to be honest. And when it comes to creating a content brief, you can also call it content design in this context. First, you should try to understand the prominent attributes of an entity. And when it comes to the semantic search engines, they will start to parse entities and their queries. And they will start to recognize that there are some attributes, and these attributes are mutual for some certain type of entities. For instance, for countries, we have capitals, we have presidents, regimes, populations, currencies. For companies, we have CEOs, headquarters, staff, and industry, production, or market value, and these type of things. These are the root attributes. And based on your question, and based on your source's context, everything can change. Let me give you an example from Google's announcement. Let's say that in the mom announcement, for instance, they have an example. If you search for hiking to Mountain Fuji, they will start to give you possible contexts there. If you ask me, there are three main contexts there. One is hiking to Mountain Fuji, the second one is hiking, the third one is hiking to a mountain. And based on your source's context, you will need to create a different types of topical map. And based on topical map, you will need to create different types of content briefs. If it is about hiking the mountains, it means that you will need to include all of the mountains in Asia or Europe in the context of hiking. If it is about just hiking, it will be about hiking boots, backpacks, shoes, podcasts, accidents, tips, and these type of things. If it is about just Mountain Fuji, the context will be entirely different, and your topical map and thus your content briefs. So when it comes to creating a design, it's actually a little bit about your topical map, your sources context, and of course a little bit about the competition level.
And what about product pages? What you've described would be wonderful, I'm sure, for different blog posts. Does this work equally as well for product pages that you just want to talk about something very specific that you're selling?
Yes, definitely it works. Because when it comes to semantic SEO, it's not just about one type of content. At the moment, web is also semantic and search engine is also semantic. So when it comes to the product, search engine creates a line of products and relations of brands. And when it comes to reviewing a product or on telling how to use a product or while actually talking about a refund policy, these type of questions or questions that are related to these type of things can be used in the content section too. But also, for instance, once I try to create a kind of content brief for a product, I usually check all of the popular e-commerce sites because I am able to extract dimensions and attributes for that specific product, such as its weight, its height, its guarantee process, or its parts, or its functions, benefits, or lifespan, or maintenance costs, and also I can extract engrams from the reviews itself. And all of these product information can be used within the product page. The other thing is that when it comes to the e-commerce SEO, yes, it is also about reviews, it is also about product explanation, but also it's about a little bit the layout of the web page. It should be also included within the semantic SEO, to be honest, because I can show a couple of research papers if you want later too, because Google search engine talks about based on the layout of the web page, all of the meaning can change. And if a product page doesn't have a proper order of components or placement of components, the context, again, it can be shifted, even if the content is perfect.
So I'm sure there are many SEOs listening, watching, reading this, thinking, this is wonderful. I really need to spend more time thinking about this for 2022. I need to ensure that all my content adheres to all the advice that you're sharing, but it's going to take a lot of time. So what's one thing that they've been doing over the last 5 years or so that they've just been doing on autopilot that they probably need to stop doing now to focus more time on what you suggest?
I see lots of SEOs who add random links into the content. They usually add internal links just for adding them, and they think that if I add more internal links, it will be better and better. And sometimes they use outgoing links just for giving some reference to the other pages so that search engine can think that they are endorsive enough and they can be reliable and they can be related to their sources. I would suggest stop doing that. If you want to use internal links, create a contextual bridge between two pages. An internal link should have a kind of relevance between two pages, and you can reflect these thematic connection or contextual bridge between two pages based on the link's placement, link's design, and the annotation text or the hidden connection between the title and between that section, name of that section. And once you actually create this connection, then okay, a link can be there. And try to use your internal links within the main content, not in the boilerplate. And do not add extra links just for adding them. And do not link randomly out other sources just for linking them. If it makes sense, yes, do it. But also be careful about that too. If you link one of your external reliable websites that you have chosen, and if that website mentions your competitor, if that website also links your competitor, you might end up linking your competitor in an indirect way. And I know that Majestic also has a link graph for that too. It can be used to actually understand that most of SEOs do not think about link graph. They just check the tier 1, a link from a website to another website. But if you think about the link graph, there are actually indirect links, millions of indirect links between the pages. So this would be a little bit my suggestion for the fellow SEOs.
Absolutely brilliant thoughts. I was talking about something similar with Bill Hartzer, and we were talking about second and third and fourth tier links. And so that's certainly something else to dive into there. Koray, a lot of incredible information you shared there. You can find Koray over at holisticseo.digital. Thanks so much for being part of SEO in 2022.
Thank you. It was a pleasure for me.
Check out the rest of the content from SEO in 2022 over at SEOin2022.com.